Hello everyone, Tech1421 here. Welcome back to another episode of Mr. Game & Watch. I have really been enjoying playing these old classic Mr. Game & Watch games. Essentially, I've been a huge fan of Mr. Game & Watch in the Super Smash Bros. Games, but I've never really played any of his old classic games. This is the game Fire, and Fire is a very fun little game. And again, I've never actually heard of this game before until I started kind of looking them up and finding them out for myself. Essentially, why I am doing this series is to find out kind of where the moves come from in the Super Smash Bros. Series and where this Fire move comes from. You may notice that there's two paramedics on both sides of like a trampoline, and there's a bunch of just Mr. Game & Watch like people or figures jumping out of the rooftop of a building that's on fire. Now, your job as these paramedics is to basically keep these Mr. Game & Watch figures up in the air, and you can see there are 3 different locations you as a paramedic can go in, and it's your job to just kind of rotate and juggle them around and make sure they stay up in the air. Now, in the Super Smash Bros. Melee game, this is your up B attack, meaning that if you need to have like your triple jump or double jump, whatever you want to call it, then you just go up B, and this is essentially the attack you use, and you go up in the air. Now, in Melee, you don't have a parachute, but in the Brawl version of the game, you actually get an extra parachute, which comes from the game Parachute, which we will cover eventually in this series. So they kind of have different combination of moves. In the Wii U and 3DS versions of the game, you also get a parachute as well, and you can also use, I think it's the down B attack after you, if you want to end your parachute short. But that is basically essentially the game and the moves that you get from the Fire game. There are other Fire type attacks, but they don't actually come from this Fire game. And again, you have 3 lives, just like other Mr. Game & Watch games. It's a very, very simple kind of game, and it's a very simple idea, but it gets very complicated, as you can see, when you're trying to juggle 3 or 4 of these Mr. Game like look-alike figures in the air, and sometimes you have to try to figure out which one's gonna fall first. So I do believe I got a pretty good score of around like 170, I want to say. We'll see at the very end, but a pretty good score. Something that could really throw you off in this game, besides the fact that you have to figure out which one is falling first, is that the Mr. Game & Watch like figures, when they jump out of the balcony, they have 2 different places they can jump out of, making the angles and the depth that they have to fall a little bit unique every time that they come out of that balcony. So you have to try to figure out which one's going to fall first. And besides the very first stages of them jumping out of the balcony, there's only the height basically is pretty standard, and you can see how far they're going to go. There's other versions of this game earlier on in development where you can't actually see every single movement of the Mr. Game & Watch figures make as they are going through the air. But this version of the game was really nice that you can actually physically see when they're at the height of their jump, if you will. So I did lose a life here. You have 3 lives again. You lose a life by not getting underneath the Mr. Game & Watch figures and throwing them throughout the air. So if you miss them, you lose a life, and if they go into the ambulance at the very end there, you get 1 point. So that is essentially how the game is played. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this game. I had a pretty fun time with it. It was a little bit challenging at first to kind of get down like where to go, but once you figure out the depths and essentially kind of judge who's gonna fall first in certain situations, you get a pretty good streak going on, and that's what I did in this one. So I am nearing the end. Things are getting crazy. There are like 4 or 5 figures going at once, which is absolutely ridiculous. And you can tell I can't keep up with it at some points. Another thing to be careful about, I did not mention, is when you do lose a life, things reset the way they continue to go wherever you are at before you lose a life. So you have a little bit of time to readjust, but essentially you start right back where you left off. So I did get a score of 178, which is pretty solid. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys can leave a like, that'd be greatly appreciated, and I'll see everyone next time. Peace.